Dataeast Star Wars, when you turn it on, it does like nothing. I mean, I don't even get GI. Well, I get one GI. Well, that's mostly because I could see he's got a burnt GI connector right there. But let's just check the 5 volts. There's a ground test point and a +5 right there on the CPU board. And we should be getting 4.9 to 5.1. And look, I got like nothing. I mean, I literally have no 5 volts. So I'd say we got a power supply issue, which is this board right here. We've talked about this many times before, but this little capacitor that's directly below the heatsink just likes to get baked. I don't know how well you can see it, but I can see the electrolyte has leaked out and around that capacitor. That thing is just shot. You probably wonder why this C2 capacitor is such a big deal. If you look at most of the electrolytic capacitors, this is the 5 volt section of the schematics. Positive on a positive voltage, and then a negative side that goes off to ground. That's how most caps are. It just goes between a positive voltage and ground. That's how the capacitor is. C3, same thing, between a positive and a ground. But look at C2. This is our capacitor in question. So you've got a bridge rectifier. You've got AC coming in here and here, okay, and then you get DC coming out on both the minus and positive side. So C2 is in direct line. That is, if this cap goes open or has any sort of issue, this whole circuit behind it is not going to work. So it's not just like filtering to ground, it's filtering in line. So that's why this guy is so important, and if this guy fails, we have problems like this where the whole 5 volt section does not work. Here's the back of the power supply board, and this is our C2 cap. Look, you can even see a dark spot underneath it. This cap was obviously stressed. So I would say that it's, you know, even not seeing the electrolyte on the front, that this cap has a problem. Remove the C2 cap. Look at that. Look at the goo that was left behind from the electrolyte. Here's the capacitor itself, and you can just see that the whole bottom of it is just spent. This thing had just like leaked. Use my fiberglass pencil. I get these at MCM Electronics. You can get them with a brass tip, or I get them with these little fiberglass tips. These things are awesome. You can get in there and you can clean up bad traces and corrosion really easily. But anyways, you can see that the trace is actually burned. It should be going, this trace here, where my screwdriver is pointing to, should go to the positive lead, and it's actually gone. So this capacitor looks like it just imploded. Maybe when the electrolyte etched away at the plating, you know, for that trace, or maybe the cap shorted and burned. Not sure, but we need to repair that and then put a brand new 100 microfarad capacitor in for this C2. So to fix that burned trace right here on this little capacitor, it was just easier to do it on the back side of the board. Here's my capacitor. You can see now I run my plus lead just with the extra lead from the capacitor directly to those 2 leads on the diode, just like what it does on the top side of this board. Instead of trying to fix the trace on the top, it's just easier to do it from the back. Another thing that should always be checked are the fuse clips. I do it using the pressure test. I just push down firmly on each one of the fuses. If the fuse clips Y out when you do this, that means that they were bad and they need to be replaced. These are all good, which is nice. His GI connector here will need some rework. It was, at least the female side was burned up, so I'll probably replace the header pins on this. Power supply's in. I haven't fixed the GI female connector pins. I'll do that in a minute, but let's just see if the game powers up now. Oh yeah. So now we got 5 volts. You can see the LEDs over here are indicating that we have 5 volts. And we can go up here and check it using a multimeter, and we are at 486. A little low, but not too bad for this game. Let's fix the GI connectors next, because even though the lighting is working, kind of, it's got a badly burned GI connector. Games from Canada. I'm sorry, I'm prejudiced against Canadians. They just seem dumb as the day is long. Who would put a battery charger in, set to 6 volts, to run your GI? I mean, who would do this? Who would be so stupid, instead of fixing the problem, to do this? What's it say? Canada. Canada! This connector straightened up, but then look at this one. This is where these are the 4 GI fuses. Look at that connector. That thing's smoked too. Yeah, I'd say that connector's pretty scorched. Definitely replace those male header pins. It's amazing what new connectors will do for the general illumination in a game. It really makes all the difference, doesn't it?